CJ Stroud had another stunning performance with another last-minute scoring drive to seal a victory. This one was a little bit different because he put the team in a little bit of a hole by throwing an interception late in the game, but he came back and did what he had to do. It was a really good team effort all around, and the running game actually got genuinely going for the first time this year. I'm Seth Payne. I played for the Texans for 5 years, played 10 years in the NFL. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, tell a friend. Here is CJ Stroud's post-game presser.
Yeah, man, all glory and praise of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is a great opportunity and a hard-fought game. And these type of games come down to the last minute. I mean, it's hard to win in the NFL. It's a great Bengals team over there. They proved it week in and week out. But I think we came in with a mindset that we won't be denied. And that was huge for us. We fought until the end. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't how we would draw it out. But I mean, that's what this league is about: those tough wins. So all glory goes to God, man. And I'm super blessed to be able on this Texas team and play with my teammates. Man, I love my teammates to death. We had no doubt that everything was in our favor going into that last drive. We knew that we can go down and get a field goal or score. So it was a blessing to pull out the dub.
I think that's one thing, like the confidence. Man, it takes a lot of balls to have confidence when nobody else has confidence in you. And it's not like people didn't have confidence in CJ, but on the team as a whole, I'm going to credit Jimmy Ward and a few of the other veterans for drilling it, or at least reinforcing with CJ that it's okay, even though you're a young guy, to be vocal. And remember in the first game, Jimmy Ward had noticed, like, man, it seemed kind of quiet on the sideline. And I think that's natural when you've got A bunch of young guys that are supposed to be your leaders, and B, guys that are just new to the team. And Jimmy said it himself, like, man, I don't know how much to speak up. It's kind of weird when you're new on a team, like how much to impose your veteran status. So like those guys have consciously talked about that, and they had the confidence, I think, in themselves before they'd necessarily shown evidence that they should have it. So life lesson.
At some point, you can't say, we got you, we have this. When did you say this to him, and where does that level of belief come from? Because like you said, it's hard to do this.
Somebody had said that CJ said, we got this. And so Greg Bailey asked, where's that come from, the confidence?
Yeah, man, it was after I threw the interception, I think they had scored. And I let them know, man, like, I got your back. Like, I know I made a mistake, but that one play doesn't define me, and I'm gonna go prove myself again. And I think we had a great day offensively, ran the ball really well, threw the ball really well. But those last 4-minute drills, man, I got to be better. I can't turn the ball over right there. But it's all about toughness in this league, how tough you are. I took a lot of big hits this game and things like that. But my O-line, they fought the tail off. I think that's where we won the game was our O-line. We handled 91. I was on our keys to victory. He's a heck of a player. LT was sitting on that guy and had a great game. And then our receivers ran great routes. The rest of my O-line blocked their tail off. And Motor, man, like Motor and I'm tripping. And MB, man.
He's just like me. He can't remember names of people he knows really well. Laramie Tunsil. Look, I I got to go back and watch the All-22. Hendrickson is a good ass pass rusher. So I'm like Laramie Tunsil had some really good plays that I did notice. He also had a couple rust snaps versus Hendrickson. It's one of the reasons CJ had to run around a little bit. But I'm curious about how much they left Tunsil on an island versus Hendrickson so they could slide and help everybody else out. And I think there was a good amount of that. CJ did have to use his legs a lot. I think the offensive line really showed up in two areas. One, pass protection versus the blitz. Did you notice the one play? I was so scared. Titus Howard was like turning around, pointing out a backer or something like right before the snap. And like, lo and behold, they all figured it out. They got it all sorted out. And CJ still had to get rid of the ball pretty quickly. But they did a good job versus Lou Anarumo. Remember that defensive coordinator? He throws the kitchen sink at not just the quarterback, but the offensive line. I thought they did a pretty good job of adjusting to that. And then obviously in the run blocking, this is the first time I really felt like, oh, okay, the defense has to sit back in coverage because they're worried about the pass game. And now the offensive line and the running backs are taking advantage of it. For those of you who don't know the nicknames, Motor is Devin Singletary, and Boone, who I keep calling Aaron Boone. CJ can't remember his name. I call him Aaron Boone. Sorry, Mike Boone.
They were the focus point of this game, man. We needed them big time, and they've been in tough games like this. Motor being with the Bills, and then Embiid being with the Cowboys. They know how hard it is to win in an environment like that. So we lean on them guys, and they make plays.
Coach talked about having calm in the chaos. How do you find that, or how
He said, CJ, Coach talked about how you have a calm in the chaos. How do you find that?
For me, I mean, it's a lot of prayer, a lot of just knowing that, man, God wouldn't put anything on me that I can't handle. I don't deserve His grace and His mercy, but He still gives it to me, and I love Him for that. Because I mean, it's not about me; it's about Him, and His glory. So I think that's where it comes from. I think God made me like that. I've been through a lot, not only in football, but things that made me just kind of chill during when everything's going crazy. And I thank God for putting that on me, because that's something that put that in me. Excuse me, because that's something that you need playing in this position in this league. That defense over there, they didn't blink, even though they were giving up big plays and things like that. They knew that it would come down to the wire. We knew that too. And I just went to D'Amico and let him know, man, I got you. We're going to win this game. And he looked me right in the eye and said, I trust you. So it's amazing to have trust in your head coach. And I'm a rookie, and my OC, Bobby, man. Like, I think Bobby, we need to give him his flowers. He called a great game again, leaned on his players and took risk. And I appreciate him for even doing that.
The one thing about the CJ who addressed coughing the ball up there on that bad interception, my one thought on that, because I know a lot of people were angry after the game for either the play calling, and I think CJ's in that mode right now where people would rather be mad at Bobby Slowick than CJ Stroud. It's like it's 3rd and 3. If they'd run the ball and they hadn't gotten it, I think a lot of people would have been upset that Bobby Slowick hadn't put it in CJ's hand. CJ, like he says himself, he can't throw that interception. Like he knows he can't throw that interception. Just keep the clock running. The one area, the next 3rd down, that's the one I'd have a question about when they went deep to Tank Dell. When in that instance, I'd rather run clock down and then punt than take that shot. Obviously, it ultimately all worked out, but I felt like it was a little bit of maybe rookiness in both CJ and Bobby Slowick. And I have zero issues with it because veteran quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, those guys they do it at times. Like he's got 2 interceptions on. He's got 2 interceptions on the entire year. 2 interceptions. And he made up for it. Like he had a field goal drive. And shout out to Matt and Mandola for that field goal drive.
how long did it take you to snap back in and say we still got
Cam made a hell of a play. I've been playing against him since college, and have a lot of respect for that guy. He's really
He's asked about the interception.
smart. We ran that play the drive before. We got a big completion. So he told me too. I talked to him, and he was like, "Man, I knew it was coming." So we undercut it. Their defensive end played upfield, and I had to step up in the pocket, and I didn't want to take a sack. So I tried to like lay it over him, and he looked up right when I threw it, and he picked it, and it was a heck of a play. Tank probably almost saved the day right there, which is giving our defense a blade of grass to stand on. But I mean, it's something I can't do in the future, but it's great learning experience, especially to come out with a dub with that.
Also, shout out to Tyler Boyd.
I mean, I was a little upset and like, dang, like, but at the end of the day, what is that going to do? I mean, it's not going to do anything for me. I have to move on to the next play. And I mean, I had such a great game at that point. Like, man, I had a lot of great plays instead of that negative play. I can't just harp on that one negative play and go back to what I was doing. And the next drive, probably put the ball in my hands and we made plays.
Actually, I had a conversation with my wife during the game about like stupid mistakes. My wife is a really good athlete. We talked about like why you make stupid mistakes, and I think at least part of it is that so much of it in sports is that you're just operating on reaction, and at the same time your heart rate's really high. You know, there's all the studies that show how bad your decision making is once your heart rate gets above a certain level. I think you just don't notice. You don't notice how dumb you are when you're playing because so many things. Like think about like in baseball, there's a lot of intelligent things you have to do that are just automatic because you've been through it so many times. Except for some Astros, some all-time legendary Astros who are otherwise intelligent guys who still sometimes make those mistakes on base running. But like CJ's got the right attitude about all this stuff. He's just so damn calm, cool, and collected.
You use the term "walk into your trap, take over the trap." To win a ball game like this, you can say, AFC contender like this in a state that you used to play in, how satisfying is it?
It's a blessing, man.
He was asked about coming to Ohio, the state of Ohio, and playing in front of presumably a whole bunch of like CJ Stroud Ohio State fans who are also Bengals fans.
You couldn't draw it any better. And I know it wasn't easy, but this is like that's what you want in the NFL. You want those hard wins because you want to be playing your best ball at this point. I mean, I think we're doing that. I think we're on an upscale. And to be back in Ohio, I got a lot of Buckeye love, and I appreciate everybody who was in support. And then a lot of Texans out here too. Like we showing up. So I really hope next week we play the Cardinals, man. Y'all pull up and we pack that thing out. Like I really want to see a sold out stadium. I think at this point, man, I think that's what we're ready for. And that juice that y'all bring, man, we play with 100% energy. And even in the negative light, coming to the away game, like you want to be the villain, and you put on your mask, you ride with your brothers, and you go make plays. So it was a big win for us, and got to build on this momentum.
Okay, this is another area where like CJ's more mature than me. I'm trying to figure this out. I've always had like I get kind of nervous and uneasy about either athletes or coaches or radio hosts like asking fans to come out and like, hey, you guys got to come out and enjoy this leisure activity. Like you got to get out here and spend a lot of money and be excited about it. Okay, can you be excited about it? And I don't know. I think part of it might be just kind of that like little innate fear of when you invite a bunch of people to a party. Like, what if nobody comes? Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm afraid for the ask. I do like. There's a natural excitement about CJ. I think that it hasn't been that long since people were were like amped up at NRG Stadium. It's just a matter of I think people like learning to trust it and believe in it. But I do wonder too. I hope CJ does understand what Houston sports are like in terms of actually being in their seats at kickoff. I think that's a generational thing. We got to figure out how to get people in sooner than later. But that's but it gets loud. CJ, trust us.
CJ, one thing Coach Lyons has said was that we don't care about the outside noise, but this game felt like a statement win for a young team that has believed in itself from jump, regardless of what anybody else.
So she said this felt like a statement win for this young team. I don't know if she asked the question or just made that statement.
Yeah,
she made a statement.
I mean, you can tune into what everybody else saying, but they're not in our shoes. We're the men in the arena. We're the one lacing it up, taking the hits, doing what we have to do to win. And it's a process throughout the week, man. I know, like, shout out to our families, man. Like, we put in a lot of work, and our families do a great job by supporting us in that way. So, I mean, I love my family. I know the rest of my teammates, they can say the same. So, it's just not us, man. It's the city of Houston behind us, our families behind us, the guys' kids, the wives, my family, my parents. Like, a lot of people are behind us in this thing, and I think we're proving a lot of people right who believe in us, and that's all that matters. So we're not trying to prove nobody wrong.
Okay, so you're going to hear this a lot from football players, and it's because it's a poem or a speech by Teddy Roosevelt that's been handed down like from generation to generation. I don't know, like Theodore Roosevelt, they might have mandated that people like football coaches start giving this speech back when Theodore Roosevelt kept football from being outlawed by making it safer. But basically, it's I'll just read the first few lines. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. It's a good speech. I'm not quite Theodore Roosevelt or Winston Churchill, but if you look up the man in the arena, and there's a good chance that that's actually like a poem that he's reciting or something.
2 weeks in a row you was at the game with the crowd. Can you just take us through what your offensive linemen are doing in those situations?
I mean, they look me in the eyes.
Okay. Sarge asked, what are the offensive linemen doing in that situation? I just want to be sure that if he's talking about the actual last drive.
We're not trying to prove nobody wrong.
2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row you was at the game with the crowd. Can you just take us through what your offensive linemen are doing in those situations?
I mean,
I don't know if that was Sarge or somebody else. So what are your offensive linemen doing in that game-winning drive?
they look me in the eyes and, man, I trust you with this moment. And that means a lot to me from left to right. I mean, a lot of meaningful ball has been played on different teams. This team, like, I think they were saying, like, man, it was like 8 or 9 games last year that came down to the wire like that. And I think we lost every single one of them. So the hope that we have in 2-minute drill, like, that really goes to our coaching and just us being playmakers. We do 2-minute drills on Wednesday and Thursday. just trying to get that down because, I mean, that's a lot of these games are 1 and 2 minute. So my linemen, we don't move without them, like I told you last week. They're the focus point of our team. So my linemen had a great game.
We're going to finish with DJ and then Jonathan.
You mentioned, I think, around training camp, right before training camp, and we're going to shock the world. You got pretty believe in the roster. What were you seeing from the team that made you really believe that?
He said you mentioned during the training camp that you wanted to shock the world. What were you seeing from the team that made you believe that?
You guys are going to be able to do great this year.
I would say, I mean, just the confidence off rip. And it wasn't built overnight. Like, this thing took a minute, a lot of moving parts. And, I mean, you see, I mean, we've been injured too, which hasn't been helpful. So these have been like the last couple of games we've actually been able to play at a capacity. Like, we're still missing a couple pieces.
Dude, the 23 people on the injury report.
Miss Nico today. Can't wait to get him back. But I think you can see, like, no matter who's up, man, we're next player mentality. That's what you have to do in this league. So and I think Michael Dieter has stepped in and done an amazing job. And I really appreciate him just being, like, not only a ball player, but being really, really vocal. Because coming into that point where JP was playing really well, it's hard to come in and now, you know. So I think this team from when OTA started, we built confidence.
I see discussion going on about CJ's flannel jacket. I'm guessing that's like a super expensive flannel jacket, shirt/jacket. I kind of like it. I don't know, man. I know you guys are hating on it, but that looks comfy as hell.
Yeah, Motor, he ran the ball really well. Like I said before, it starts up front. Those guys are moving. Those guys, that's a solid, really good D-line. Backers fill their gaps really well. And Motor was making people miss. On top of that, we were getting to our second-level defenders and moving around. So I think once we get the running game going, man, you can see the play action starts working, the drop back pass, everything. It makes my job a lot easier. So shout out to the running game, and we got to keep that going.
You know, one thing I think the silver lining in some of these injuries is that those first few weeks where everything felt disjointed with the run game, and it started to become pretty apparent, like, okay, we're going to have one set of plays for CJ and one set of plays for Singletary and one set of plays for Damian, or at least alter the play calling. It's hard for the offensive line to get in a rhythm like that. You know, maybe down the road somewhere you'd be able to be more versatile, but with Singletary being able to like that, yes, the blocking was really good. And you know, credit CJ too for backing everybody off in coverage, but Singletary was really seeing the field well. There were a couple times where I was watching and I was trying to, you know, I'd go back and watch the replay and you'd break down like, okay, everybody's all blocked up. Here's the linebacker. Here's the safety that Singletary is going to have to make a miss. And then you press play again and like Singletary cut back across the grain behind like two blockers and found more green grass. He had some nice little pieces of running that were really instinctive and just decisive. It was good to see.
All right, thank y'all. God bless.
All right, God bless. God bless. Hey, thanks for watching. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, and come back for more.